So I'm Dr. Stephanie Nevarez-Fernandez, and I grew up here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I went to Carlos Ray Elementary and Truman Middle School. I graduated from West Mesa High School. And then I went on to college at UNM. I studied biology and Spanish, and then medical school at UNM. So there was no doubt I was coming back to Albuquerque. My whole family is here, and I knew that I was just going to go get my training. I wanted to, well, first of all, I picked my residency because they spoke Spanish. We even did morning report, like where we presented to each other in Spanish, which was amazing because I got to learn so much. And then I knew I was going to come back, so I started looking for a job. And my family's here, the culture's here, red chili's here, lots of dancing and music is here, so I knew this was home. So I think the number one thing, and I've lived in many different places, I've had the fortune to live in other countries and other states, and the number one thing about Albuquerque is there's tons of music, there's great food, there's a sense of community. I think one thing that was missing a lot of places that I went where I traveled is just a New Mexican tradition is to respect your elders and to be kind. Where I went other places that's not always the priority, but here in Albuquerque it's the priority to be kind to one another and to have respect for the people, because that shows that you respect yourself. So I really like that about Albuquerque. So I think I told you the story before. So I've known that I wanted to be in the healthcare field since I was probably about 3 years old. And my dad asked me, when I was little, he's like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, well, I want to be a nurse or a dancer. And he's like, well, why a nurse? And I said, well, I want to help people and I want to take care of them. And like blood and guts, that doesn't bother me. And he's like, well, then why don't you be the doc? He's like, why don't you be the doctor? And it was the 70s. And I'm like, well, can girls be the doc? And he's like, yes, they can. So I knew right then and there, so I'd been saying since I was 3 I was going to be a doctor. And I didn't know I wanted to do pediatrics until, I guess I was in denial. I thought I wanted to do women's health, but it ended up that I just wanted the baby. So I was always like gravitated towards kids and how cute they are and how not cute they are, but then they get over that. And I just wanted to always be around kids. I made those, by the way.
No way.
I did. I learned how to do it on YouTube. So the number one thing, because I did private practice for 7 years, so it really feels like this is a community, just like the title says. I love that there's other services here on the campus where there's women, infant, and children. We have the health department, so if we need family members, because with kids, the Vaccines for Children program, they're covered all their vaccines, but sometimes family members need vaccines and they can go over to the health department. I love that the dentist is right here, so we can refer patients to the dental. And that's pretty amazing because in other places we used to have to try to search for places for people to go. Well, that's a great question, and it just happened yesterday where I had a patient that it was 2 young girls and they were here for something that wasn't major to me, it was major to them, and it was the sister and the 2 sisters, and I'm like, well, what school did you go to? And they're like, Carlos Ray. And I'm like, what middle school did you go to? And they said all the schools that I went to, and I'm like, what are you going to do after high school? They were both high school students. And they're like, we're thinking of college. And I'm like, I went to college and I think you should go. And I tried to encourage them. And it was like this moment where you like see the light bulb go off where they actually are like, she did it and I can do it, and it was like an actual true, like a feeling that they saw an example, a role model that they could follow. And that made me feel really good because it's like I did all those schools and I got a good education. I was able to achieve my goal. So for me, the Reach Out and Read program is amazing, and I have to give credit to Valerie. So she got all these free books for us from different grants and from Barnes & Noble. They donated books. I think reading is the number one thing. When parents ask me, how do I make my child smart, the number one thing is read to them. And I tell them that at the newborn visit. So when they're 2 days old, start reading to your baby, start talking to your baby. And so what we do is for the well child checks, my medical assistants or myself will pick out a book. And we have a lot of the books also like in Spanish and in English. And it just depends on what the family is interested in. And the number one thing is just to read. It doesn't matter what you're reading, it's that you're doing it every day, being consistent. And it really does stimulate the brain. It makes smart kids. So the number one thing that I'm so excited about, and I participated in the program last year, was the Cosecha program where they bring healthy fruits and vegetables. It was mainly vegetables. But the number one thing is to get people thinking about health and making life changes. And it was just so amazing. There was some things in there that I had never seen or made, and I was able to follow the recipe and make them. Like, I had never had baked fried green tomatoes. Well, I had never had fried green tomatoes, but there was a healthy baked recipe, and they were amazing, and I tried it. So one of the things I really enjoy here as a pediatrician is just to be able to be involved in the community, to be a leader not just in the exam room but also like with my colleagues. I love that I have my lunch time free to do fun, healthy things like walk with my colleagues and be part of the dance team, and so that to me is really important, is to have a sense of community. And I feel like I trust everybody here. Like, there's nobody here that I would be like, oh, don't go to them. Like, when people ask for recommendations, I'm like, anybody here is amazing. So I would bring my family here. I myself come here. So I just feel like it's a great place to be. So first of all, I was volunteered for the First Choice Dance Team. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to participate. There's a group that's already been doing it for the past several years, and I was invited to join them. And so we met every day for lunch for about an hour, and we would do line dances and we learned choreography. I thought it was really fun because they let me participate in the choreography and give my 2 cents, and I actually taught them a couple of flamenco moves, so that we could incorporate into the dance, and it was super fun. For the Christmas party, it was the highlight of my holiday season.
Right.
It's really fun. So the number one thing is, if you dream it, you could do it, and if you set your mind to do it, it's worth it. I think that's the number one thing, because you can feel discouraged when there's a lot of obstacles in your way, but as long as you keep at it. Another thing is to try to find a mentor that can help you, and there's lots of people that are willing to help as long as you put it out there that you need some help, but just never give up. And that's something that I always told myself over and over again, is just never give up, and my dream came true of becoming a pediatrician.